Hello, good morning, everyone. Once again, today we resume our lectures for Research Methods Z2 module. And like I told you, this module is the application of Research Methods 1. And therefore, today we are beginning with chapter 1 of your research proposal. And that is the introduction. Here, of course, we deal with the background. That's why the title of this document is the research background. Okay. This is what we are going to look at today. It is one, background of the study, two, statement of the problem, justification of the study, research questions and the hypothesis. Then we shall finalize with the research objectives. Once we look at that, we shall have covered the most important things in chapter 1. Of course, requirements vary depending on the department. But for this case now, generally in the health, these are the most important things. Once you have this in your research, here you shall have covered your chapter 1 very well. I put this image. I hope you can see it. I put this image aside here. Just say that to get the way this work is arranged. For example, when it comes to the table of contents, that's how you can arrange your work. Please note that all the examples to be used in this presentation are to be obtained from the research project on self-reported hypertension and associated factors among adults in Butambala district of central Uganda. It was a community-based prevalence study, and the Alex M. Kato et al. 2023. Meaning once you enter this, that name Alex Marie Kato et al. 2023, you can access this document on the internet. It is there. So this study was conducted and published in 2023, and that is another way of accessing it. That DOI that I provided there. The author was requested and he was okay with obtaining examples from his research work. Yeah, and I guess that one is okay. It is that we couldn't use examples without actually following the authentic processes. So, background of the study. So the background of the study is the primary goal. Its primary goal is to catch the attention of the readers and to get them turned on about the subject matter. In this case, you provide the certain information in the background whereby if someone reads the background, they can easily be pulled to go on and read the entire document. Otherwise, if you write the background very poorly, meaning you'll not have lured your readers to continue reading, they will only stop there. Meaning it has to catch the attention of the readers and get them turned on about the subject. It sets the stage for the paper and puts your topic in perspective. Someone has seen what you are going to discuss in the entire paper, what you're going to talk about, right from your background. The introduction often contains dramatic and statements about the need for the study. They come in just a little about the need why this study must be conducted. So for this case in the background, you must talk about the problem that you want to study on a perspective from the global view, how it happens in other continents, how it happens at African level, how it happens at East African level, and how it happens in your respective countries. Are you going to carry out the study in South Sudan? How is it happening there? Are you going to carry out the study from Uganda? How is it happening there? From Kenya, how is it there? From Somalia, how is it there? You get it, eh? Yeah. Then you must show us for the area under study if the burden is available. The burden you want to research about. That's what we are talking about. So you give us information on how it is happening worldwide. How is it happening at the Africa level, at your continent? How about other continents? You come to East Africa, or you come to a region, to that region, for example, the Sub-Saharan region. You talk about it. You come to your country, you talk about it. Also the area, the general area, you get it. Then guidelines on how to format a background. One, provide a brief overview of the problem or the issue being addressed, include historical perspectives, theoretical frameworks, or relevant literature reviews. Explain why the research is important, what gaps it aims to fill, and how it contributes to the existing knowledge, the research that you want to conduct. Then transition, this is now just transition to literature review. This is transition to chapter 2. It's just transition to chapter 2. We shall see chapter 2. You can introduce key components or theories that will be further explored in the literature review. You get it, eh? Yeah. It is crucial to clearly indicate references or citations, either in text or after the text. Yes. Like we've said, chapter 1 is to do with introduction, and then after once chapter 1 ends, you go to chapter 2, that is the literature review. So some of the concepts here in the background, it's okay to talk about them, but just you can give just a brief overview, whereby you now give the broad overview from the literature review. So an example of a simple background. If we can give an example of a simple background. Now this is the background obtained from the other document that we began with at the beginning of this presentation. We can say like this: the prevalence of hypertension differs among regions and income groups, showing a substantial increase in low and middle income countries. You get it? Now, here, the author of this paper tried to give us, now is beginning. He's beginning now. Once he wants to catch the attention of you, the reader. You get it, eh? Yes, he even gave you a reference, an in-text reference, World Health Organization 2015. That was a report. Then he says, the World Health Organization African region has the highest prevalence of 27%. Then you wonder, because this study is going to be conducted in Africa, you start getting a picture of how it is going to be. The number of adults with hypertension increased from 594 million in 1975 to over 1 billion in 2015, and it's expected to be over 1 billion by 2025, with an increase largely seen in low and middle income countries. That is still from World Health Organization report of 2015. You get it? He has given you information on the global level and also at the African continental level. You get it? I couldn't give everything in the details because this was just a slide. But the background can be over 2 to 3 pages when talking about information. You get when talking about the background information of that particular problem that you are investigating. So the development of hypertension is modulated by modifiable lifestyle factors, and the uncontrolled hypertension poses a risk of the onset of cardiovascular diseases. You provide this statement such that you can show your reader that indeed, if we don't mitigate this level of hypertension, our populations shall decrease by this and this levels, or because of this and this reasons. Then from the background, we go to 1.2. Background was 1.1. When we go to 1.2, that is the problem statement, or you can say statement of the problem. So what is the problem that you want to address by conducting the research? That's one of the problem statement. So now what is the problem? In other words, the problem statement, it is, do you want to investigate the knowledge gap? Is it the policy that it needs to be refined? Is there a policy that indeed it needs redefinition? Is it inconclusive findings from other previous studies or existing technique which seem not to be working? What exactly is the problem that you want to investigate? Generally, here in health, you have come up with something new. For example, you are in your health practice, and a child comes with a rare condition, and you want to write about it as a case report. You get it? Is it a knowledge gap? For example, there's existing information or no? Whether someone who is having HIV can be at the same time having asthma. I'm just giving an example. So you wanted to, so there is no research study that dilemma in information. So you want to conduct a study to address that knowledge gap. You get it? That's what we need in problem statement. Then guidelines on how to format a problem statement. Clearly define the issue or gap that the research aims to address. You must define that very well. Explain why the issue is important and relevant. Provide background information to help readers understand the context of the problem. It should set the stage for the rest of the proposal. Now, after the background, the problem statement is also very important to catch your readers' attention to read the further aspects of your research proposal. Then an example of a simple problem statement. Now, this was also obtained from the research study we began with at the beginning of this presentation. Raised blood pressure is responsible for 7.6 million deaths per annum worldwide. That is a 13% of the total population. 1,000 deaths per day, around 54% of stroke and 47% of coronary disease are attributable to high blood pressure. Over 80% of this burden occurs in low and middle income countries. Now you have begun with talking about the problem with existence. Is there a problem really? Sometimes you might want to investigate a factor which is not even a problem. You get it? Which is not even a threat to the communities and societies. But for this case now, you have begun in a way that you show your readers, you show your reviewers, you show the institution review boards, those people who are going to read your research proposal, you show them that the problem really exists. And if we don't deal with it, this is going to happen in the future. That's why this author provided information on 54% of the stroke, 47% of coronary heart diseases. You get it? Yes. He continues. An estimated 46% of adults with hypertension are unaware. 46% are unaware that they have it. Less than half of the adults, 42% with hypertension, are diagnosed and treated. You get it? Only 42% can be diagnosed and then treated. And only 21% with hypertension have it under control. You can imagine, just 21% have controlled it. So hypertension does not cause any symptoms on its own, therefore referred to as a silent killer. Now, this is all showing your readers, this is all showing your reviewers that the problem really exists, and this is how it exists, unlike other conditions. You get it? Yeah. Like I told you, also the problem statement can go up to 2 pages. Therefore, I just provided this brief example because this is a presentation. Justification of the study. This section creates a perspective for looking at the problem. Remember, justification is the same as significance. It points out how your study relates to the larger issues and uses a persuasive rationale to justify the reason for your study. You try now to give the importance of the findings of this study. You get it? It makes the purpose worth pursuing. It shows that indeed this study must be conducted. You get it? The justification of the study answers the questions of why is your study important, to whom is it important, and what benefits will occur if your study is done. In other words, it shows you the importance of your study findings. Also, it can also show us the risk at which the communities are on if this study is not carried out. You get it? That is the justification, or call it the significance of the study. Then guidelines on how to format a justification of the study clearly articulate why the research is significant and why it matters. Discuss the potential implications of the study findings and how they could contribute to theory, practice, and policy. Clearly state the gap in knowledge that your study aims to fill. Explain why this gap is important and how addressing it will advance understanding in the field. I guess the guidelines are easily understandable. Yeah, this is what you should do. What should not miss in your justification when you are stating the justification of your study. Then an example of a simple justification. Available studies, this example is also obtained from the exam that we began with. Yeah. I can say like this. Available studies indicate a generally lower trend in individual awareness of hypertension status. Yet, no study indicates number of individuals that have ever had their blood pressure measured. No study is telling us, is reporting that these and these individuals, these studies give the prevalence, but they don't indicate that the person have had at least one blood pressure measurement. You get it? Whereby blood pressure testing is still lacking. Individuals mainly do blood pressure testing during antenatal care services, only when they are sick. You get it? So only a few do BP testing when they are actually doing a general medical checkup. Just a few go for that, but others majorly, most women, I can tell you that they only had a blood pressure testing during antenatal care, meaning it was compulsory, it was not out of will. You get it? So the author continues. Consideration of self-reportedness is to mainly focus on individual awareness. That's the meaning of the word self-reported in this study. So this study was not diagnosing, but was asking these individuals, have you had a blood pressure measurement in your lifetime? Individual says yes. Then the investigator asks, what were the results? Then the individual indicates that I was blood pressure negative or blood pressure positive. Also, individuals continue to say, I don't remember or I don't know. You get it? Those are all such available cases. Each individual shall be asked whether they have had their blood pressure measured when when it was last measured and why it was measured. Reasons for the measurement included antenatal care, sickness, and also regular medical checkup. I'm just reading the study, the justification of this study to show us how it will fill this gap. So the author says, this will fill the gap of why awareness is still low. Way forward shall be suggested and discussed on submission of the report. I think you can see. I've given, the author gave the gaps existing. The author gave the significance of this study and how it will address the available gap in knowledge. Then the other one is research questions, and also hypotheses. The research questions are a set of questions that the study needs to address. Hypothesis is an assumed relationship between two or more variables. I think this one is clear. We have said questions, what your study wants to address, requires to address. And then hypothesis is an assumed relationship between two or more variables. For example, excuse me for that. Yes, several hypotheses may be established, and the overall aim of the research would be to test the action nature of this relationship with respect to hypotheses. You remember very well we said there are two types of hypotheses. We have the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. We said in the null is saying is negating, while the alternative is affirming. You get it? Is saying yes. The null hypothesis will say cigarette smoking does not cause lung cancer. Oh, if we have to give, for example, a question from the topic we are considered, the hypothesis we can say of lack of physical exercise is not a risky factor for high blood pressure. You get it? Now I'm getting this example from the study that we used as an example here. You get it? So the null will say lack of physical exercise has no attachment or is not associated with high blood pressure. The alternative hypothesis will say lack of physical exercise is associated with high blood pressure. Those are the two hypotheses. And research questions, let's see the examples. So from this study that we are investigating, sample research questions can be, what is the self-reported prevalence of hypertension among adults in Ude sub-county? Then the second question will say, What are the factors associated with hypertension among adults in the sub-county? You get it? So we are getting these questions from the topic of the study. The topic gives us the problem, and then the problem gives us research questions that we want to answer in our research study. Then objectives of the study. These are arranged as general objectives, as a general objective and a specific objectives. Objectives are related to a set of aims or targets to be achieved through completion of the research program. It is developing feasible answers to the research question. Yes, the questions you asked yourself under research questions, under hypotheses, now they are being answered by the research objectives. You get it? The general objective indicates the broad aim of the study, while specific objectives indicate specific areas that the study tends to focus on. I gave an example there. We are going to say, yeah, but like I've said, the general objective indicates the broad aim now, the broad aim the study wants to achieve. And then the specific objectives indicate specific areas. Usually, at undergraduate level, specific objectives should not exceed 2 in a number. Do not exceed 2 objectives when you are still an undergraduate, when you are doing your bachelor's. So examples of the objectives. The general objective can say to determine a community level prevalence and factors associated with the self-reported high blood pressure among adults in the sub-county. You get it? That's what the general objective can say. Excuse me for that. Then specific objective. Now, the general objective has given broad aim. You get it? The general objective has given the broad aim of this study that to determine a community level prevalence and factors associated. It is also obtained from the title of the study. You get it? Yes. To determine the community level prevalence and factors associated with self-reported high blood pressure among adults in the sub-county. You get it? Then specific objectives will say to determine a self-reported prevalence of high blood pressure among adults in the sub-county. Then the second one will say to assess the factors. Now you can say that the 2 specific objectives are obtained from the general objective. We can say to assess the factors associated with high blood pressure among adults in the sub-county. You get it? Yes. So you can see how we have come up with the self-reported prevalence of high blood pressure. It is coming from here, from the general objective here. I hope you can. Then we attempt to assess the associated factors with high blood pressure is also coming from here, and the factors associated. Now that's why we say the specific comes from the general objective. But like I told you, at undergraduate level, do not exceed the 2 objectives because that's what you can achieve for now. This comes to the end of our lecture. Thanks for watching. That our next lecture, that is the lecture 3 of the Research Methods 2 series. It will be on literature review. You get it? It will be on literature review, meaning it is the advanced version of our lecture 7 from Research Methods 1. If you remember, this lecture was on literature review, meaning if you want to understand our next lecture, you must have understood content of the previous lecture on literature review. Here, I will be discussing how you can access the sources on the internet with relevant literature in the medical field and how the actual literature review process is done. That's what I'll be discussing. So firstly, go watch lecture 7 of the Research Methods 1 series, and then you first get that knowledge, and then you easily understand information from this lecture. Thanks for watching and have a nice time. Okay, this lecture was about the chapter 1 of the research proposal, and that is the introduction. This lecture is from Research Methods 2 lecture series, and these were of the objectives. I guess we didn't skip any, and I guess members understood everything as discussed in this wonderful, wonderful morning lecture. I say goodbye and have a nice time for now. Thank you.